Fortunately, despite higher than expected crowds, everything went off without a hitch.
Well, not exactly. Not exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Archival.
50 years have passed. Couldn't happen to me, but just off stage a minute ago, an old gray-haired man with a cane came up to me and said, "Do you remember me, Art Linkletter?" And I said, "No." I said, "I was on your show when I was 4. The truth of the matter is, I had known Walt for 20 years before he ever thought of doing Disneyland. We had done the Olympic Games up at Lake Tahoe, and we had toured Europe together and done things together. And he wanted somebody on the microphone for the opening day who could handle the unexpected, because we had no rehearsal, no possibility of doing that. It was early in television because they had big, heavy cameras, and we had, of course, no possibility of knowing what anybody else was doing. He asked me if I would pick 2 of my friends to help us, so I picked a guy named, what's his name now? Ronnie Reagan, and Bob Cummings, a great comic actor, and myself and Walt. And we divided all the venues up, and we had our cues to throw the microphone here and there and get there. And then we had to move to another venue while somebody else was talking. It was a big McGilla, and I remember Walt told me he was going down backstage through one of the alleys behind all the sets to get to the other place, and there was a young guard there, and he said, "Stop." And Mr. Disney said, "What's the matter?" He says, "I have orders that no one is to pass here." He says, "Do you know who I am, young man?" He says, "Yes, sir, you're Mr. Walt Disney, but I can't let anybody pass." Walt says, "I'm going to run right over you, and you'll be in the hospital." And he always charged through. These are the things. I had to run from one medium to another, and I had 3 minutes before I was supposed to pick up the microphone. I couldn't find it. It was under a pile of lumber. Everything was being done ad-lib at the last minute to get open. And it was a hot day. It was about 105 degrees. A lot of the ladies with pumps on would walk across the asphalt walk and leave their pumps behind. And of course, I was up on top of my place, which I owned a photographic shop on the main street. And I had the concession to sell all films and cameras for 10 years. I love to think of that. The Kodak people told me one time, "Mr. Linkletter, you have the world's largest automatic film vending machine, Disneyland." But I was up on the 2nd floor, and there was a main parade coming by. What we didn't know, because we hadn't rehearsed it, was that I was to look at a monitor and see what the cameras were shooting in which part of the parade. But the sun was setting by that time, and my light just faded completely away, and I had no idea what they were on. So I just looked down, and they'd be on a horse, and I'd say, "Isn't she beautiful?" A lovely little thing with that dress on. And they finally figured out that I wasn't following them, so they began to follow me. But Walt and I had lots of fun here. We used to go out and walk up and down the grounds and see if everything was going all right and have lunch together. And a lot of people would come up to us and ask us for autographs, so we were kind of pestered. So we went into the magic shop at one of the exhibits, and we got elaborate beards and mustaches, and we pinned these on, and we went out, and people walked right up to us and said, "Can we have your autograph, Mr. Disney?" Didn't even mention that we were disguised. But it was an exciting time. People, of course, as he's mentioned, crowded in. There were a lot of unexpected people. The bathrooms weren't working, and the food wasn't being done right. And even some of the reviews the next day in the papers were very critical. But Disneyland opened, and it has made history in the entertainment of families. Walt used to say, "Art, you invented children, but I'm going to entertain them." And it's true that I've had 27,000 interviews with children from 4 to 10 who've given me such wonderful remarks as, "What church do you go to, young man?" He says, "I'm can't remember, we're either Catholic or prostitute. Another little boy was kind of glum. I said to him, Johnny, aren't you having a good time today? This is the house party. We're having fun. He said, well, my dog died. I said, I understand. It's like part of your own family. I said, but think of it. He'll be waiting for you up in heaven. The little boy looked up and said, what would God want with a dead dog? But it's been a great 50 years, and it's going to be another good 50 years. The plans that you're hearing today and the constant change here with new things coming in. This great show has been a big hit since I saw it open last year. And it's made a great world center here at Anaheim and the other communities. And every time I come down here to do a show or to do awards for people who've been an employee of Disneyland for 20, 30, or 40 years, and every time I do it, I see how this whole place has grown. And I'd love to stay longer, but I have a lunch date with Martha Stewart. Kind of a coming out party, so I'll see you there.